Ready?
Yep.
We'll call the meeting to order. It's 5:06. Let's see. We're going to review the minutes. Did everybody read the minutes already?
Yep. Yep.
Do you have any issues?
No.
Okay. Any issues, Tom?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Oh, wait a minute. We had one little thing we took out. On the second page, Mr. Snell then asked how many we had.
It said shut-offs, and I put...
Yeah, it had shut off. We changed it to blow off from the original one that you would have read.
Yep.
And then there was a sentence there afterwards that said it was more than we should have or something. And that was just for some of Curry's notes.
Yeah.
So we took that out because Wayne didn't say it. It didn't look like it should be there.
Okay.
So that was changed from anything you got on your that was emailed to you. Okay.
That's the only change?
That's the only change. So now you can make your motion.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Where's that, Carrie? Yeah, we got signed warrants.
More abatements?
This one. It's on the property 98 Matfield Street that they just tore down, like the town bought it. There were still charges from years ago.
When there was nobody in there?
Yeah.
Now we're paying Tara and Howard again. Are they?
Yeah, he was in today.
Did you ever get all that information?
Did you?
Somebody was asking
You
for
approve all this? And
all the
are
abatements.
they far enough along for the
Somebody-
$4,050?
Which one is he hitting us for?
This is for well
You told
number
him the fee is,
one,
and then you
station
say-
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in. We're waiting on Mike now to finish the SCADA. The alarms have to trip, so he just have to come back in. He's gonna put in a call.
Look for him.
You holding back enough money to get that done? If you,
Yeah, we should be all set there.
we're all set there.
Yeah.
What was that all about, you know?
No idea. Naturally.
Doesn't work out.
Why didn't we just shut this thing off back a couple of years ago?
We did when it
Shut
flooded
off,
out.
that's just outstanding.
Or from before, and just everything that kept.
So do we get paid when it's sold?
Yeah, I mean, if they sold the property, why don't we get, why
The
we?
town bought it, so in the past, they...
The town?
No, I think the town took it for tax lien. So he was.
A private guy just bought it at auction.
Yes, but they took it for tax lien, so the town actually took it, I think.
Yeah.
What is it?
The house that's not there on the
Matfield
corner
Street.
anymore.
Oh, okay.
The one with the,
So I think the town actually took it, so that's why
The
we're
town should have added on to it, that you're gonna pay the back water bill.
Yeah, well.
They didn't?
They don't.
Sounds like it.
No, they didn't, and he brought up another location that was abated a while ago. I forget what the address was. I have the email.
East Street, probably another one.
Yeah.
so we have no basis to go after the guy, basically, is what I'm saying.
I think
No,
it was-
because the town actually was the next owner.
Right.
In the future, when if you see something gonna go to auction,
Yeah, but
town hall and tell them we
But
got
if
back
the
water
town,
bill.
if the town took it and they got more money than what they owed in taxes, we should get our water revenue. They probably did sell it. If they sold it for $100,000 and they took it for taxes and they only owed $20,000 and they made 80, why aren't we getting our money?
If you want to hold off on it, I can talk to Scott. Hold off on signing it, I can talk to Scott tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we ought to hold off until we find
A lot of
out.
times you go to an auction, you got other town fees you're gonna pay.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's not fair.
Yeah,
Unless the town's taking a loss. If the town didn't get all their tax money, that's one thing. But if they come out and they made more money on it than what was owed in taxes, I think we ought to get our revenue. Why wouldn't we?
That's the close up.
Where is that, so I can...
Yeah.
We've got a new front sheet, so I'm not doing off of them. Pump did we have to buy for $3 grand?
What's the bill for?
Mel's?
You got
Well,
more
that was for a KOH, it's a carry water pump.
Okay.
We actually registered us in new classes, so we didn't have to eat the classes. We couldn't go to the day we fixed the leak.
Where are we at on Station 1, Wayne?
He was just out today. I just saw him. He left probably about 30 minutes before you guys got here. So it's left. He has to bring in the instrument guy to finish, make sure that the alarms are all set and fix the screen on the SCADA. And then he's putting in a call to DEP to get them for a date to come up and do an inspect.
Did he fix those injection points that you wanted to fix?
They're still hemming and hawing on those injection points. We're gonna pass DEP with the way it is, because I'm not gonna mess with it and try to slow it down. We've been waiting, I don't know how long for that station now, and it's just sitting there idled. So then after that, if they don't fix it, it's just a couple $100 a pop, I'm gonna fix it. But either way, it's gonna get fixed.
So Tater and Howard's fine with it the way it is?
Well, he looked at it again today. The other point is, because I can't try the station, I can't put it into the system. The last time that we ran the system, when we shut it down, it's isolated, so it has no water pressure. The carry water injections shot back into the well. There wasn't enough to seat the check valves. So I need the station to pass DEP approval to put it to the system, so that I can give it a true test. Right now, I'm working in an isolation booth, basically. I can't really test it.
And no idea, but for now, when DEP will be able to get out here.
Probably, hopefully by the end of March.
It'd be nice to have it online for spring.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to run it. It's sitting there. It's everything, and it's brand new.
What do they have left to do, Tater and Howard?
Is this what,
There's
this
not
already been
not
posted?
much of anything. It's basically just get force
No,
the SCADA
that's
guy
just
to
the
come in and fix the
investigation.
alarm, so we can, because they're gonna wanna test the alarms to make sure that they trip the station.
You got a copy of that?
Mm-hmm.
You got a copy of that, right?
What?
Of the bid proposal for the
Yeah.
hay? Okay. Wayne, you wanna talk about you're all done signing, right, everybody? 2020 articles?
So I don't, basically, I think the articles, I'm not sure I put that one in there, but that would be whatever we move for money with the tank painting and stuff like that, it has nothing to do with, currently, we're in the 2019 budget right now. So 2020 is future, so if you're gonna move money and set it aside for future tank painting or future water meters, which are all high expense bills, then that's what would be 2020 articles. Or any other money that we move. You're trying for special town meeting to redevelop the well that's collapsed. So that's not even, that's on a 2019 article.
Right. We're in 2019.
Yes, but it is, we're running on the 2019 budget.
Yeah.
So if you do a special town meeting, as far as I'm
Right,
concerned,
so
it's still.
that's why I was wondering why you got.
Increase on the 2019.
Right.
Right, I was wondering why you got 2020 articles in here when we have,
I think
we
it
gotta
had-
go to special
I
town
think
meeting
it
first.
had to do with the tank paint and the water meters, that's the notes I have.
Just to what we
To
want to
move
put,
money.
to move from surplus
Right.
into,
Yep, but I don't think you wanna look at that until you know how much money you're gonna move to cover
Right,
my
so-
operating budget for the year.
So, I think we ought to just table 2020 for
Yep.
now till we get through 2019 and
Yes,
and this other budget.
yep.
279 Pleasant Street.
Alright, that became a non-issue. He had his service line was leaking, but it was 20 feet under the building foundation, so he wasn't fixing it, so I issued him a termination letter, which came and went, but he got it fixed before I terminated him.
Which one's 279?
The granite building there, on the corner, right opposite.
What's the one where I was leaking 20 feet into the building?
Yeah, it was
Inside?
his service line was tapped on for the sprinkler line, that's a normal thing. Except it must have let go right under the building, probably where it's concreted, because they concreted the copper line in, they didn't sleeve it. So it probably ruptured right underneath, so it didn't come up through the building, instead it took its time to come out under the building. So
that's all.
But
it's
they
all
should
fixed
have,
now.
when they tapped the sprinkler line,
Yeah, they did, it was all done.
I mean, but they could have just shut it off right there.
Yeah, but so he wasn't sure where his curb box is. In some of the instances, like the building that collapsed up on Manley Street, just short of West Street, we didn't find that curb box until long after. We had to go in with the backhoe and start scraping, because they're not indicated on any drawings anywhere.
I always put them
In
on.
this case, it wasn't on the drawing, and this one wasn't on the drawing either, but we did locate it, and it's right up against the building. You can't wand up against the building because there's rebar in the concrete, you trip on everything, so you dig in 14 holes, and you're not finding it unless you stumble across it. So now we know where his is, and we're going to put it on the drawings, and we put the one on Manley Street on the drawings. But there are more instances that happens than not. It's troublesome when if you have to find it in an emergency, because you can't.
Did you ever find the AutoCAD drawings of all those?
I have all the AutoCAD drawings.
You do?
I do go through them.
Because I know that the old Azak Farm up on 106,
Yeah.
those sprinklers are all that way. They're all tapped, and we took measurements off the corners of the buildings and
Yeah, we
everything
have.
for all those.
Yep, all of those are on there.
They're all on there. Okay.
Yep.
Just didn't happen to be here where you need
It was just the ones that we need.
Yeah.
Just that. It's like.
Okay. Log 4.
All right, we're not
management.
going to pass. It's not log 4 passable.
Yeah.
In order to pass for log 4, because you need chlorination and contact time, we don't have contact time because the first customers are right there. So in order to pass, you need to come up with 5 milligrams per liter of chlorine residual, which you don't want to do that. It wouldn't be legal to do it either. So unless you want to run piping around the lagoons to give contact time or put in a contact basin,
No.
it won't pass. The UV light doesn't count towards it.
Does it?
No, because it doesn't kill the viruses. It just kills like Giardia. It does specific things.
Yeah, so you need chlorine and contact time
Yeah.
to make it work, and
We don't have it. We don't have a chlorine basin, and we don't have the piping run to do it. So we're okay. It's not.
Okay. I thought we were already approved for that. weren't we?
So George gave us something. So when I handed it into DEP, they didn't hit me in the head with it, but they said there's no calculations, there's no nothing. It was just a piece of paper, pretty much with a few scribbles on it, and
Really?
it wasn't any good.
I thought he had it all approved.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He had a letter, but it wasn't approved, because I tried to turn it in when we had issues testing when we replaced the well and I couldn't get it to pass, said, well, I got a lot 4 certificate, so I turned it in here. Well, it came flying back at me.
Okay,
So are they gonna come back at us to do something
We
about
don't,
that?
until you, and if we fail at something, then they may force you, but right now, we're groundwater, not under the direct influence of surface water, so we're not required to chlorinate, and as long as I keep us from taking total chlorine hits, we'll be good. They are moving more towards nobody really has a scripted menu of what you're supposed to do, but they're moving more towards that with the lead and copper, so they're gonna eventually tell us this is the pH range that we want you to produce at, even though we already produce at a good pH range. They're gonna give you a script, and this is what you run by. And at that time, maybe they'll tell us then chlorine, and maybe not, because we're still groundwater not under the influence. We don't really have to do it. We don't see any of the crap that's on the surface.
right. All right, the Rotary Farm. We got the bid here, not out the bid yet, but.
Well, it's just a rough draft, because we're kind of scratching our heads on where we were going, so we kind of got off on that, but I had 2 weeks to do so. I didn't have a lot of time to spend in the office.
Okay, one thing I think we ought to do in it is put down that it could be, if it's agreed between the winner of the bid and the town of the water commissioners, to extend it to a 3-year contract, that it can be done. That just saves us from bidding it every year. And that the bid opening, we have to specify where it's gonna be. You gotta put the,
Well, we're not there yet, though. I mean, we before we put it out, which we're probably gonna have to do, we really should have what's been done, why it was done that way. Is there anything in writing with Coit that we can't, that we've said he could do it for however long? We gotta look that stuff up
He's just
First,
doing it as a
to
favor
figure,
to us.
so, well, if that's all it is, we do a few other things first before we go on the shoot. They're not gonna hate us till June. This isn't like this is
no, I know, but,
a rush.
but why do we have to just justify what was done before?
Well, if we know what was done, we figure out roughly what the contract would be worth. Whether it's how much hay. I talked to the guys at the state that deal with this for the state fields. He said,
Yep.
if you're talking about a field that they're just cutting because you want it cut, nobody bids on them. They get them, whoever gets them takes it for the hay. There's not enough value
Right.
in anything like this. If
Okay.
it's a low enough number, then we might not have to go to bid as long as we justify what we're doing. But we can't. Somebody came up and asked why he was been doing it, right? That's what started this discussion.
Yeah, what's that?
It wasn't me.
Other people were interested in hay. I got approached by two different people.
Okay.
They wanted to know why they couldn't bid on it. I said, because we never went out to bid. And they said, well, I'd like to do it. And I said, well, we'll have to look into it because we've never done it. So, they could file a complaint that it's not going out to public bid, and you can't do that.
No, but
So-
for that, we could possibly not do it if we had a value.
If it's a low
associated.
value,
Yeah.
as long as we look into what the hay's worth, and it's not worth much, you don't have to. I don't
So how are you going to choose who you're going to give it to?
think. So leave it the way it is.
Draw
I
it.
guess.
Well,
No, you can't do that.
No, but that's why we just decide how we want to proceed. We might go to if we go to a full bid, now do we have to require a certain amount of insurance? That
It
the
should have
farmer
an
can-
amount, like $1 million policy on there or something.
Does that mean nobody's going to want to bid on it?
I don't know.
Because I don't think a lot of the guys are going to be carrying it.
You don't let
And
somebody
I
go
don't
on
know
your
if there's
property
an
without
agricultural,
insurance.
and I don't know if there's an agricultural exemption for that. Because a lot of these farmers around, they're doing other people's fields.
Right.
I doubt
But
they're carrying.
they're not public water supplies either. That they're
No,
paying.
but it's still.
They're not a
working
town
on
with two
private
pockets
property.
that somebody might chase.
I'm just thinking if there's a farm tractor there that releases 50 gallons of diesel fuel, who's paying to clean it up?
We are, and then we go after whoever spilled it. That brings the other questions, why are we having it cut in the first place?
So it doesn't catch on fire after a couple of years and it's just dried up hay. and burn John Cruz's barn down or something, and then we'll be in trouble for that.
He might pay us for that one.
No, all the stuff.
No, with all the stuff he's got in it.
I know, he does have
We
a lot
won't
of
be
stuff,
as-
but the bond is,
But I mean, anybody that comes to do work on our wells or on our property, we has to have insurance.
yeah, almost everybody has to have
Everybody's got.
Yeah.
liability
You
insurance.
shouldn't let somebody on your own house property without insurance. I don't know why we would as a town entity.
No, because we have the pockets that a lawyer would do for free on contingency.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll put in there that they have to be insured. Anybody doing it has to be insured.
To check with the town hall to see what the minimum requirement is.
I don't know how, so somehow the town got away from, I think they used to make the independents have insurance and they couldn't get any, so I think they dropped that.
Which
When they're plowing,
Oh, they have to
They-
have insurance.
no, I think they dropped, or they lowered it. They did something because they
They
couldn't
have
get
insurance.
anybody.
No, so I looked into that years ago, it wasn't worth it, he was gonna have to pay for the insurance.
Right.
No, they still have to have insurance.
So if we look into what the insurance requirements are, look into what it might be worth. Because again, we do that with building needs sometimes, is the value's low enough, it's okay, fine. Check around, see what it's worth for price, and give it, you don't have to then do it like a low bid or a higher offer. You can, if you've got somebody doing it that you're happy with, you can actually give that work to them. But we would have to, if we're gonna go through, we're gonna have to make sure we're covered on insurance. Once we do it, more time would be better than less time. Just say, do it, like you said, do 3 years, if 3 years, if we don't, with the option that if they screw up or don't do it, we can kick them out
Right.
and give it to somebody else. But instead of it being an actual bid.
I mean, that's where a lot of bids go. If we're not happy with somebody, we don't extend it. And legally, you can extend a contract up to 3 years. You can't extend it more than 3 years.
Yeah.
But it just makes it easier. Otherwise, you're doing this every single year, every single spring. You're doing it, but you have to do it at least every 3 years. You can't do it. But you can, just renew it. But if you're not happy with the people, just go up and bid other people who bid on it. I think we ought to open it up. I don't think we ought to give it to anybody. I think we ought to open it up and see what people are willing to do. If they're willing to get the insurance and pay us a little bit of money, so be it. I don't care who gets it, but it should be fair.
I mean, I can see the guy that I talked to can give me wording that they use on their proposals. They do it for everything from the fields that they lease, like for where the guys plant corn and all that, to just
Yeah, I know.
dead fields that they don't do anything but cut a couple of times.
Years ago, I used to buy the hay. They used to be able to buy the whole barns full. You used to bid on them, and you get the whole barn. You didn't know how many bales was in there. They give you an estimate, like 3,000, 4,000 bales or something. You just bid one sum of money, and you had to have it out of there by a certain date. It was a good deal,
Okay, so if we come up with that. Just double check the nut dollars, I can do that, because I gotta do that for building needs anyway, we'll double check the dollar values of stuff to, whether we have to, how we have to bid or get prices and.
So then how are you gonna decide who you're gonna give it to?
Well, we'll find this stuff out first before we go out in the streets and know where we're going.
Okay.
That's all. And just, if it's,
Okay, so
just so and if it is that we don't actually have to have a regular full bid, we get proposals in and we just look at it and say, look, if we see who we think we can do the best deal. If we get somebody local and somebody from way out of town, somebody that's giving us the same deal, to me, I'd go with the local guy first, where it's something that's a town resource. But we can discuss that one right before we put it out to bid, because we have to tell them how we're gonna decide.
you have to have a good reason why you're not
Yeah.
gonna give it to somebody who makes you a better offer.
Yeah.
You have to have a good reason. That's true in all bids.
But again, we have plenty of time to put this together and get it out. It's not like anybody's doing this in March.
Okay, so you're gonna bring the information in for next meeting?
Yeah, I'll see if I can pull all that together.
All right.
If you can talk, do you talk to Coit?
I can.
Give him a call, just see if he can give you an estimate on how many tons of hay he took off or something.
All right.
And just, if you ask, just tell him, look, we've got people asking, so we kinda have to figure something up. We know how many ton of hay, we can rough estimate what it's worth.
Yeah, I don't think he hated it the last couple of years.
He did.
No, he's been doing it.
Looks like it's been cut.
He's been doing it.
Yeah.
He
He's
says
just
some
using-
round bales out there right now. He's just waiting for the ground to freeze so he can get out there. It was too wet.
Yeah.
I thought,
He works
I
together.
thought Clint Howard.
No, he's been
They
using.
work together. Billy cuts it, Clint bales it sometimes.
Okay.
They do the same thing behind my house. So, been doing it for years.
Well, now you got somebody else involved in it too. So, he's not insured. We didn't even know he was doing it.
We should know who's working on our property, especially with his partner.
Yeah, well, he was out there. From what I understand, I don't know. Tommy says he wasn't, or he wasn't involved. But you got two different guys. I just think we need to clean it up, put it out the bid, and get the highest bidder or the person who's going to give the ratepayers, the taxpayers, the best bang for their buck, and just be done with it. I don't care who gets it. But we should know who's doing it. Okay. Special town meeting.
So that's coming up, but so part of that would be I don't have the estimate. He's gonna give me the estimate hopefully within the next 2 days. I'll ask David if I can give it to him in your next meeting. I think it's gonna be February 3rd or 4th.
I think it's the fourth.
It'll be one of those days. I'll ask him if he can wait until the very next day for me to hand it to him and say, this is what we're gonna want on it. For that.
Why do we have to wait till February 4th?
Well, you're gonna have to vote on it.
Why?
I can't give you the estimate I don't have. You can't vote on an estimate you
We
don't
don't
have.
have to. Why would we have to vote on it? You're just going to give him a figure that you're going to be asking for. We don't have to vote on that.
All right, that's fine.
So he's going to give us an estimate of what it's going to take to fix that well,
Yeah.
replace that well. We just need to vote on the fact that we're going to do it. I don't think. I used to get quotes
All right,
and
so
put together articles myself and turn them in. It doesn't have to take a vote. We can take a vote later on. What's the difference? They can close the.
All right, so as soon as I get that, I'll turn it into an
We can
article.
always amend it on the floor.
So that's one thing. So the well replacement is one. The
Yep.
next is a supplemental budget for me to continue running for the rest of the year.
Okay. And do you have those numbers?
So you have a 2019
Yep.
adjusted budget sheet. So what I did was there are lines that are over what I actually need to operate. So what I did was I went back through the 2018 budget, if you look on the last page, and I added up what we spent from January to June 30th. I then added it to the overspent lines to come up with an adjusted budget. So I need $151,744 to continue running for the
We're
year.
over that much on our budget
We
this year?
went way over.
Well, with all the waterway pumping, I'm not
Yeah.
surprised.
Okay.
So 151,744
Yep.
is what you project.
That's what I'm projecting. I mean, I don't have anything. We could use less, or we could use more. There's no way to tell, but I'm hoping we use less. I just took numbers. All I had was the numbers from the
Yep.
previous year and added them to what we've already, because we're already overspent on all the lines.
I'll call you back
anyways.
in a few minutes.
That's why it's up so high.
Okay.
And then you have to figure out how to pay for it. Are you gonna pay for that out of surplus?
Yeah, we'll have to.
All right.
Is there one other place it can come from?
Yeah, because I'm also projecting a revenue shortfall for this year too.
How much?
Well, with that new budget,
So we're going to have to increase rates.
so the new budget would be 2,11775. Now it's just a projection, but I had Kerry pull numbers on what we've taken in for revenue, and I had her pull numbers what we took out in last year from this time period to the end of the year and added it up, and it comes pretty close. I'm estimating we're gonna take in about 1.81 million or 1.882 million. I need 2.11.
You're not basing it on our budget this year.
No, because we're below that budget. That's gone.
You can't go by that with the week we got.
So if I estimated last year, we only took in 166,899 for surplus. That included any tie-in fees and everything else.
What was that again?
I estimated that we took in 166,899 in surplus. That's what we generated in revenue surplus from last year.
From where'd you get that number from?
So they don't give it to you anymore, spell it out, but they give you the lump. What they did was they tell you how much free cash you have. So I took what I knew we had in free cash prior to him doing that,
Okay.
and subtracted it from it.
Okay. All right, so you came out with 100 and what?
166,899.
Okay, so out of that 534,083, 100 and something of it.
Well, it's 6
Would
something.
have come
but
from
yeah,
there.
160, yeah, it would have come from that.
All right, so the other 400,000 must have been from years before.
Yeah, we
Tie-in fees from years before.
Right. Well, there's tie-in fees and rate fees, but rate fee is declining. Well, we had an extremely wet summer, so people just did not use water
Yeah, we
during
didn't
peak
sell.
quarters, right?
All right.
These next 2 quarters, they're flat. They're usually flat and consistent.
Okay.
So one thing at a time, I need my budget adjusted. I need the extra money to continue running, so we need to adjust the bottom line.
Okay.
of my
So just give us a total number that you need for the bottom line. We don't need to break down here. You can turn that into the finance committee and.
2,111,775.
No,
No,
you're talking about the
the
adjustment.
increase, the adjustment.
151,
Oh, the
744.
adjustment, yeah, 151,744.
You got that, Kerry? Okay, and your motion to accept that as a figure that we're gonna have to go to cover this year's budget?
And that's based on what you've gone over and every month on each line item, right?
Right, I went through
And last
And
year.
some of that-
Right, I went back through all of our warrants from January to June 30th and added up everything from heating to everything that was over currently, and then added it into the budget.
Since they're gonna ask, do we have anything in here on the line items that are under, that would,
There's nothing-
wouldn't pay? I'm just assuming the question we're gonna get from.
I don't think there's gonna be anything on that. If anything, if I can avoid,
So line items that I notice are over are the ones that the town grabs once a year, like insurances and stuff. If, you know,
Right.
it may, those would be the bigger numbers that I saw, but you know the town's gonna grab those before the end of the year.
yeah, I wish they took them right up front, and they don't. They leave them hanging sometimes right until the very end, and you don't know.
And our heating bills and stuff were super low. It was only, when I saw it, was $200 and something, but you know it's gonna be thousands of dollars when we go to fill the propane tanks back up after these
Right.
cold
Yeah.
days, so.
Even though they have the Farmer's Almanac, nobody can tell what it's actually gonna be like. We just went through 3 days of horrid cold weather.
Yeah.
I mean, if we disappear and we could be in the 80s tomorrow, we all hope, but that probably won't happen. We could be back down to 0. There's no way to tell that.
No, when we get it, we don't have to spend it. But we
Right,
have to have
and
it.
we never have. There's no frivolities out in our shop. Every money goes into the equipment.
Do we have the 69 grand under engineering services for the new well under contract?
So that's, if we didn't spend any more out of that, there is some money out of that under contract, yes, you have signed for some of that to be used.
What's that?
Because we've spent none of it according to this.
Well, no, you've spent, 15.
No, it's, we had engineering services.
No, you
new
have
well,
to be careful. So
This
that
is
line,
why I'm asking the question.
all right, because that line's a placeholder. So I asked that too. They don't charge against that line. They charge against the 00 line. It's a placeholder. They didn't actually create a line. But I tried to separate them today. I thought I did do it on here.
Hold on, there was a motion on the floor, did anybody?
No, there was nobody made a motion.
So it's in the wrong
I asked
thing
for a
there.
motion, but
Oh,
I
you
didn't
asked
get
for a
one.
motion,
The 15581 belongs down in the engineering services under the new well. In that line, I believe there's a $2,800 bill against regular engineering.
So regular engineering, we're over 800 and.
Yeah, we're over on that one also. Yep.
And that one's supposed to be down, and that is gonna continue to get spent. It's not like we have.
Yeah.
It's just thinking, go to FinCom, that looks like.
Right.
We have half the money we need.
Right. I can't, I mean, I've been fighting. I did send them off an Instagram right after our last meeting saying, all right, you've had a year, you didn't do this, you didn't complete this, you didn't complete that. I hammered him on all fronts. And he came back, he actually met with me today, so we're moving forward because I'm really pissed about Station 1 sitting there idle when I could have used it. So he came back to me today, he said that everything is moving along. They're just that shy of giving us all of our reports. They did give me the new drawings for the hydraulics that you guys all took off with the packets with.
Yeah.
So I have new drawings for those.
Now, did you get the program so we have it here in house so that?
I haven't gotten the program yet because, well, I'll try to do that this week. Things are slowing down a little.
Okay, we'll get that. Try to get that program because if we switch engineering firms, I don't want to have.
I want to have it.
I want to have it here in house so that we paid for it. It's ours. We own it. We got to have it here. I don't want. Next time the planning board or somebody's got a project coming up and they want to do it, make sure we got enough water. I don't want to do what we've done in the past and have to hire other engineers to do small sections. We already own the map. Let's have it here. So if we got to hire another engineer, we got it. We can hire him.
Right.
You know, it's
just two of the big firms. Well, this is the second one now. Haven't performed greatly. And listening to them today, like some of the reports, well, it has to go to the checker, then it goes to somebody else. It goes 5 places before it hits to us.
And they didn't check much of last time.
I know.
yeah, they had a lot of errors.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So what was? Are you okay with the total number he's looking for, Art, or?
Yeah, I think so. I said I was looking more for things that they could come back and ask us on as to why,
Right.
why we don't have money that we can move around in what we have, as opposed to.
I mean, I've got the medical there. I don't think anybody's getting a DOT card. There's $200.
Yeah, well, I know. The
know,
FinCom meeting, the one I went to, didn't go exactly that smoothly, so I want to make sure we have as many things covered as we can.
The biggest number that's going to be in these, and it should be in an article, but Gagney wouldn't let us put it in a separate article. He has put it in a line item.
What's the engineering?
Is the engineering for the new well.
Yeah.
And that's the one he's supposed to be looking at all the basins and everything. He's supposed to be doing all that paperwork.
Yeah.
The pre-stuff before you start actually looking for the water, to get the approval from DEP to move forward. So we just haven't, the money is earmarked in the project. He just hasn't got there because he's been busy on so many of our other projects.
Right.
But we can't, that money came from contractors who paid us to build another well. And we can't spend it on electricity or something else. That money is earmarked for construction of a well.
So we can't move that to the other stuff.
We can't really move it.
The only thing that's the other thing, because we sent him off, so we shouldn't have to pay for them to be looking at the Belmont Place old thing. I did connect them two together, because I didn't want to be in the middle trying to transfer flows. Their indication was that the flow rates that they got wouldn't support a fire sprinkler system.
Whose indication?
Chatter and Howard, just
Well,
so
that's why they were
we
talking.
drop below 10.
So
You're
they-
supposed to
No,
have maintain a static pressure of 20
We need them
psi.
to look at it.
That's why they're talking about a tank. They have to
Right.
fill the tank off, keep it offline and pump out of the tank to do the sprinklers.
Right.
There's no way we support sprinklers
Right.
with the line that's in that.
And the thing I'm worried about, when you go to fill a tank, nobody in the neighborhood is gonna have water. When you try to fill a big
Yeah,
tank
it'll steal from
off
everybody.
a 6-inch line, with the friction loss coming down the street, the pressure's gonna drop down. We're gonna have so many complaints while they try to
They'd
fill
have
that
to
tank.
bleed and fill that over days to be.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna take a long time. Then when they have to prove every year to the insurance companies that they have enough water, they're gonna have to empty that tank at, under the pumping conditions, and then they're gonna have to refill it, so it's gonna be an annual event, because
Yeah.
that's the way the insurance, we know that from the industrial park.
Right.
Those people are up there, they flow those every year, they go out and they get low, try to get lower bids for their insurance. And it's funny, not one insurance company I ever seen believe another insurance company's results and want to do their own.
Yeah.
So sometimes there's 2 or 3 tests being done on the same property in the same month. So there's a lot of water, and that's going to be a tough water line to be drawing
It's
that
tough
much
because I
water.
already get, that's an end of the line spurring
Yeah.
up towards Thayer Ave and Plain Street, and I already get complaints up in that area.
Yeah, so we need to take a hard look at that.
All right, so I put them two together. I gave the Chatter and Howard engineer the engineer's phone number, all the information, so that I wasn't in the middle trying to transfer technical numbers.
So how do we know that those two have got together and we get,
I can
because
ask.
we need results from somebody.
Yeah, they should actually come to us, even though we can give them permission to go and give them the numbers and that, but they should be going through us, where it's our engineer that they work with. You don't have to touch the numbers. Let them transfer the numbers over, but we should get a figure from Tara and Howard.
So we gonna, because I didn't increase our engineering line, which is already overspent any on this
The applicant
supplemental.
pays for it.
Yeah, the applicant's got to pay for it.
All right, I
Yeah,
just want to make
shouldn't
sure.
cost-
That shouldn't cost us a dime.
I didn't, there's no fluff in this budget, it's just to keep us running as far as I can tell.
Well,
The applicant pays for that.
So what?
I was gonna ask, do you wanna round that up a little bit, since we've just.
That's what I
cut
let us
back
say.
anyway, when
Yeah.
it comes to FinCom,
No,
to
they-
go to the article.
They're gonna pay for it, we're not gonna pay
fought
for
on
it.
I would hope they don't. Other than that, from here on out, let them answer the phone when the faucets don't run.
Yeah, except that's not the way, you're looking at 151,
I understand
744 that you need, based on the number.
Right.
You want them,
I can only tell them what I did. You want to have another way? Fine, you make it work.
And this is all based on the leak we had, would you say?
So we're slowed down, so I based on a period of time when we didn't have it. So these numbers came from a period of time when we ran normally. Not,
28 January.
right, 2018.
But I'm just saying that.
Although
this-
I can tell you that this thing began when Manley Street was repaved.
But this is a result of the leak going over the budget, correct?
Right.
The
Yes,
extra chemicals, the electricity.
Extra electricity.
everything.
Yeah.
I'll tell you when
And now we're back to normal.
Right.
I'll tell you whether, you said it was one of those gates that Terry Edwards put in,
So
right?
no, Terry Edwards didn't put it in.
Who did?
I don't know who built that building, it's ABF Freight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they used Skid 40 white plastic, first off, that's wrong.
Who's, what, tap coming
The
across the
tap and
street?
sleeve was connected to, and it's still in there, I just changed my part of it to put it all back together.
We're supposed to be inspecting that stuff before it gets backfilled.
Schedule 40 PVC road for water main.
Anytime something's tapped, we're supposed to have
Yeah.
guys on site watching.
Yep.
When Terry Edwards paved Manley Street, he missed this box and mowed it over and he snapped the bolts on the top of this gate. So then the new shiny ones, those are what we were gonna try to put it back, but we realized that it was in too bad a shape, so I had to replace it. This is the,
AC pipe, right?
no, that's Skid 40 white plastic, that's their sprinkler line. I had to adapt over so that I could reconnect them up. We used a Hymax with Blue Brew.
Who laid that?
I don't know who did it. It was done long.
So they still have Schedule 40 going.
Oh yeah, they still have it. They better not pulse their line ever, or they'll snap it.
Is that, that's where it was leaking?
Oh yeah, so it's been
Was
leaking.
it leaking out of here?
Yes, when they
They
pushed
see
it,
it's all eaten up.
yeah. So when they pushed the gate, when they did
Pushed
it,
the
they
box
pushed the
over,
box
it
over.
broke
They
the bolts.
snapped some of the bolts. So it then began to spray out horizontally. It was bedded under about 3 feet of clay,
there's no
it
gate
never
box
made
to
the
grade.
surface.
Not
No,
to
so
grade.
we never even.
You didn't even know there was a gate there?
Right, we didn't even know there was a gate there. And you could tell it was eroding for a very long time.
But most of the
Everything's
leak was
gone.
coming out of here.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was wide open.
See,
It
they
finally,
that water flowing out, the sand going around, eat the bolts right off.
yep, and that's what happened. All of these, so eventually, probably in June of this year, that's when most of the bolts let go. And then they really let go in February, and we were roaring from there on out.
Yeah.
But because it was bedded in clay, it wasn't coming to the surface, it just went out horizontally.
Now, what trucking business is
ATF,
that? Where are they?
Right
next to
next to
Ryder. Yeah.
And that whole area on that side is all wet all the time
Oh
anyway.
yeah, there's
so
a
you'd
running
never-
brook. We had to
Yeah.
keep the brook out of our hole.
No, that's one of those spots you'd never have seen it until it blew everything up.
Right.
Now, typically, are we inspecting all these taps when people put them in town?
Yes.
Before
when
they backfill?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, we do. That's why I'm trying to figure out how that got in there.
I don't know
But-
how long
but
the
the
building's
gate
been
wa-
there.
But you say the gate box was gone.
Yeah, it was mowed over. Well, we
Well, from
found
when they
it,
did
but
the
it
road
was
over
3
there.
feet under.
When they widened the road, moved the road there.
Right. When they widened the road, because that's what they did, the guy wasn't looking and he mowed this one over.
Wow.
And we didn't even have it on our drawings.
Now, was
or
this
anything.
was it in
It
the
was on the drawings, yes.
in the road?
You just didn't know.
No, it's off to the edge.
Off
It's
to the
off to the
edge?
side. So
Opposite
the-
side?
Oh, it's not in the road?
No, it was off the road.
I never heard anybody using Sked 40 for water pipe.
I never did either.
That was another thing. Down the road, the translite is actually under the road, so we actually dug into it, not realizing it was there. That's why I said, having good people, it helped. He knew he touched something, and he stopped.
What size was that main? 12 inch?
That's a 12-inch AC
We
main.
felt it with the machine, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
well,
the nice part of it was
luckily,
12
he
inch,
hit
yeah.
on the tapping sleeve, and he said he rubbed something, so we went in and hand dug.
Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah, that would have been
That's
a
an
mess.
oversized 12 inch.
Yeah,
too.
because you can't
That
get parts.
clamps are hard to come by on that.
I have a crap load of parts for that stuff. Yes.
See what happened? What happened on that Manley Street? The Beth she got a grant or something, and she went out to bid, and they widened that road,
Yeah.
and they straightened it out. And when she got done, if you remember, all the telephone poles were in the road.
Yeah.
Well, also,
Remember that well.
okay. Also, all the all the fire hydrants were in the road.
Yeah.
And she forgot to put any money in to move any of that stuff. So the telephone company came in and moved all the telephone poles back. It took them a long time, remember? They had
Right.
built the road around them.
I drove that road.
And then she asked us to move all the hydrants. We didn't have any money to move all those hydrants. The other problem was that's AC pipe. None of the hydrants were rotted back to the main,
Yeah, you had to restrain.
so they were just thrust blocked.
Yeah.
So if you took the hydrant off and moved it back, the gate would blow off. So every gate was just mechanically put on. There's no anchors, and all the AC pipe was in 6-foot sections on the legs going to the hydrants. So there may be a 6-foot piece with a gate. Well, that gate isn't going to stay on once you take the hydrant off.
Yeah, 'cause you need the thrust block on the other side of the hydrant.
So we were going to have to shut the main down on the whole project. Terry Edwards didn't want to touch it, and especially there was nothing in the bid for him to do it.
Yeah.
And finally, I don't know what the town did, but they got Terry Edwards some money, I think from the state or something. I don't know how they did it. And he added gates. I don't think he used the gates that were there, because he didn't dare touch them either. And I think he did insertion valves, and then somehow he moved the hydrants back, but we weren't involved in it at all. Because
Again, we didn't
we didn't
inspect it or
see it,
anything?
no.
because that was the selectmen and,
Yeah, but I mean, it's
Beth
our water
Ferris.
system. Anytime anything's touched, we should be watching it.
I believe he restrained them all. He went in and physically bolted them.
Yeah, he was rodding them and everything,
I
trying
mean,
to hold
I'm
them
sure he
together.
probably did it right, but we should be watching all this stuff. I mean,
We
should
didn't,
know what's done. We should know what's there.
Right, in this
Why would
case-
you not watch it?
because Beth Ferris, said she knew.
Nothing to do with Beth. This is the water department.
I know, that was, hey, when the selectmen say they're doing a project and they're gonna do it their way, that's the way it gets done. So, try to tell David Gagny that he isn't doing something right.
All right, so
Right,
all
he's
I'm
not gonna
saying,
get
I don't
there.
have any money in engineering, so.
Okay, no, so you figure based on the 2018 numbers, the 151,744 is how much you need to get, so you should be whole to the end of this year.
Right, I should be able to make it, even if I hold back on doing any other maintenance or anything, just to make sure I make it, but I shouldn't have to.
I mean,
Can you,
I won't be able to absorb engineering charges because they're expensive.
how about those gate valves that you've gotta replace in the iron removal plant?
Oh, so I have a quote, that's another thing that's,
He's got another item on.
You already got one of them, right, Wayne? No?
no,
Yeah,
so
you
I
can
have
change
the, so I have the one to replace our current broken one.
The Claval?
Yep, so I have a quote for, to replace, to have 4 in stock for the
Did
one.
we just sign a bill for one of them?
You did,
Yeah,
so that's gonna replace the current broken one.
Okay.
Still trying to figure it out.
But you got another one that's broken that's in there.
I have another one that's not that far out. Looking at it rust-wise, it wasn't that far out. The others I can't tell without taking it offline and pulling them all apart. So in order to have the 4 sizes I need in stock, it's $17,857.
that's not in this.
That's not in this in any way, shape, or form.
Do you have enough money for 2? The one that we just bought and one that is probably before July 1st could fail. Do you have enough money to cover those 2?
I think it's another expensive one.
Which would be like $6,000 roughly.
So I probably could. I just figured we'd pull it out. Either that or do it next year. Equipment replacement over.
Yeah, but
So I'll have 10 grand in that one. I should have enough in equipment replacement because basically you're replacing a part. As long as nothing else in my system breaks.
okay.
That's
We're at a
it.
better pace now.
Right, no, it's just if this would be the time to put more in.
Yeah,
or
if you're
something
gonna,
like that.
if you think you're gonna need that other $6,000 when you ask her for all this, we better build it in
Yeah.
because you don't wanna have to shut the iron removal plant down because we haven't got enough money. You know, that iron removal plant in the spring is gonna be needed.
I mean, I'd almost rather ask for like
It isn't the $6,000 for it.
I mean, I'd rather ask for the other 6,000 on that because that's a separate expense from what you paid for the equipment replacement January to June last
All right, so I'll add,
year. I just don't want you to get cut short. We're going and asking anyway.
I'll add 7,000 to that.
The other
line.
thing is-
that makes it 158.
I'd much rather ask for it, so you're telling them what you really do need, and if it comes about that we do need it, then if they don't allow us to, they don't give us the money, and we can't spend it, we'll have to shut the plant down. So it'll be on them, not on us. I don't want them to turn around and say, well, you didn't ask for it.
Well, they don't go to, I don't shut it down, but they're not in the aggravation of trying to realign it to a slower speed like I've done. They don't get it because they're not there trying to recalculate feeds.
Why are you doing that?
It's
Because I
coming out
don't
of
want the
surplus.
plant to stay down.
If the thing's supposed to produce 500 gallons a minute or 400 gallons a minute, why would you bring it down to 200 gallons a minute? That's just
Because I'm now only
you're
putting
wasting
through
money.
2 filters. I've lost a filter. So I have to reduce it.
I know,
It's
but-
based, the flow is based on the 3 filters being online, not 2, and we're currently
Right.
running off of 2. So we recalculated it down to
But
keep it
you're-
online.
You gotta ask for enough money to so you use the 3 filters. I mean, you can't,
I understand.
it's just not the way to go about it.
No,
Ask for the money, let them cut you
I'm
down.
using super good duct tape here to keep it all together.
No, you gotta ask for the money so that you're not using duct tape and you're fixing it right. Tell them what you need, tell them exactly what you need to make the thing run 100%.
If you ask for it, you get it, you don't use it,
It just returns to surplus. I'm not gonna go
it's
out
just
and
coming
buy
out of
something.
surplus anyway. So
But on this, it's not like you knew that was gonna break, the thing broke.
I didn't-
You have to, until you can get it
Right.
fixed,
And
you
then
have to
talking with
reduce.
other plant owners, this is it, that's the life of the valves. They've reached
So we
their
know
life.
they're gonna go, there's no
Right.
doubt about it.
So we have that for this, and then we have all the other ones in next year's budget. So we
Right.
buy them and we either replace them or have them on shelves.
Alright, so I didn't put them in next year's budget, but
Well, we got
That's something that we can identify as a definite we should have. in
I
the
would,
budget.
you know what I do is make an article so that you can buy them, and we'll buy them all and put them on a shelf. So you have one of each type that you need. Because
Yeah.
if you know that they're gonna go, let's just buy them. Don't even put them in the budget.
we know.
Make an article for them.
Is it worth an article though for that, or because the other
Or
ones
do you
are
wanna
cheaper,
just bump up
right?
your equipment?
So we
repair?
can probably explain it to them that I could, equipment replacement, we could bump it up by the 17.
The problem with
I have
that,
the
Tom,
quotes.
is
Yeah.
when you put it into the budget, at the end of that fiscal year, it's gone, it falls in the
readjusting it out
surplus, and you
again.
can't touch it until September, when the state certifies your surplus. So if you put it in an article, that article, if he spent half of that money, that article floats along forever.
You can use it anytime?
You could use it anytime, 2 or 3 years later. You could go in if there was, $8,000 still in there for those valves, you could take some money out of it.
Yeah, but that's probably something that you're gonna wanna put them in, and when you don't need the plant running full, do it at your leisure, not do it when something breaks.
What is it?
No,
Three
you can,
different types or
if
four?
it's in an article, you spend it anytime you want.
Yeah.
You just go in and you just spend it.
Just
You put it
different
against
sizes.
the article.
There's 3, 2.
He
4,
knows
and
he's
8.
gonna need them, sooner or later, those are gonna go.
Yeah,
What's the one we changed?
So we're gonna be changing an 8, and I'm probably gonna have to
That's
rent
the one we just
something
paid
to
for,
rig it
Wayne?
in. It's not,
That's the one we just paid $6,000?
Yes.
That's an
Yep.
8?
yep,
yeah, you're not picking that up, and,
So that's
No.
the biggest one, 3, 2, 4, and 8.
8 is the biggest, yes.
So it's the small ones we need to stock now.
yeah, but that's not anywhere near.
Well, it's another 8 that's ready to
Oh.
go.
Which will cover in this,
Right.
and then the small ones, whichever way we do it, the small ones we do next year.
So bump that number up, 6 grand. We know we got another 8 ready to go.
Yeah,
I just did that.
yeah, then that's,
Okay, so what do you got for a number there now? What's your number?
So 158744.
Okay, do I hear a motion to, have Wayne, send over for $158,744, an increase to this year's budget, so we can get through the rest of the year?
What was it, 158?
158,744.
So we're adding 7 grand.
Yes. Yeah, that covers the valve.
Yeah.
6.
And then you'll give them a breakdown of,
Yeah, because they're not including, because you kept saying a different number than what I got, but my numbers don't include freight.
Yeah. Well, as long as you're covered, that's the number. So, and you're comfortable with that number, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
okay, all in favor? Aye. What else we got to discuss?
So 2020 budget then.
We can hold off on that. Let's get through the special town meeting stuff first. 'Cause they're gonna ask us where that money's coming from. It's gonna have to come out of the surplus, right?
Yes.
So that's gonna cut down on our surplus. And these numbers that we just went over, I wanna take those out better.
Because we didn't have that over in this other package, that's a separate.
Right, no, it wasn't really clear up here, just that for the sprinkler fees, let's see, building of the tank, the mortgage payment on $65,936. Total painting of the tank for the two loans is $214,940. 2/3 of that number for painting is 1/3 gets charged off to residential customers, 2/3 are industrial commercial. So that came to $141,860. So the total between them paying that, the 2/3 is $207,796. We billed them $284,444. So that gives us, we actually collected $76,649 more than what we needed to pay those. So we could transfer that to either lower their rate or put that money away for future painting of the tank the next time we need to.
Yeah.
And that would come off that total water surplus is $684,000. So 76,000 of that 684 came from sprinkler fees, and that should stay in sprinkler fees or lower their rate.
Yeah.
Then in tie-in fees, we collected $73,480. Those are new homes. Okay, so so 73,480 of that 684,000 is going for new wells. Okay, so we already have money built into the budget line, plus we have this, that line item that we have for, so we have that.
To go from surplus into that.
Right.
To increase it.
So now the difference here, I had this number, I'm not sure if this is exact, but it's around 500. If you take these two out
Out of that.
right, it'd be about 534,000. And then we were trying to figure out what was actually not spent in last year's annual budget for what we budgeted to what we collected and what we actually spent, how much of that fell out as surplus. And that would come off of that number, which we can then roll back into that's ratepayers' money, so that could be rolled back into covering these shortfalls for the iron removal plant, for the valves, for our budget overrun. And then the money that would be left there, let's say is about 400,000, that must have came from surpluses from previous years,
It just kept carrying.
carrying over.
So this 684 is from previous years.
Yes.
It includes.
Includes,
Includes.
it also includes what we charged over and above the sprinkler fee people, see? We charged them, let's see, we charged them 200, we charged them 207, we charged them 284,000. That's what we billed them, but we should have only billed them 207. So they actually overpaid by 76,000.
Why'd they overpay?
Because our fee, we collected more money in fees than what the mortgage payments were. So you wanted to put money aside for future painting of the tank. So there's your future painting of the tank, $76,649. If we move that to future painting of the tank, you got to take that number off the 684. Okay. Then tie-in fees. Tie-in fees. Everybody who paid for new construction, that money goes for new wells. So you take the 73,480, and you have to take that off the 684,000.
I mean, if that's how you want to do it, that's one way to do it, yeah.
Well, you have to do it that way because we can't be charging sprinkler fees for them to pay for the tank that we built for them, and then
I mean,
use
there's not,
the money
it
for other
makes sense,
things.
don't get me wrong, but there's nothing that says we have to do it that way,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Yeah.
the only thing else you could do would be to rebate back.
No, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
lower
Higher
the
rate
rate.
or something.
but I mean, we don't even have to set that sprinkler money aside. Is there anything that says we have to? I mean, I'm all
No,
in
no.
favor of it, but I'm just saying,
No, you don't have to, but we should lower the rate because we're overcharging them.
Yeah, that fee is to pay off the tank.
Pay off the
I mean,
tank
it's-
and pay off the loan to paint the tank.
so when everything's paid for, we're gonna stop charging a sprinkler fee? I mean, it's a
No,
theory,
no.
it's a way of doing it, I get it. But there's
The-
nothing that says we have to do it that way, I'm just throwing.
No, because what happens is when you go to town meeting, the people don't want to pay. They never want to build that tank.
I
We
fully
try to
understand,
build
I
it.
know where you're coming from, it makes sense, don't get me
And,
wrong.
and when you stand up at town meeting and you explain to the people, you're not paying for the tank. The industrial customers who are getting the break in their insurance because they have fire protection, they're saving $50,000 a year, some of them on their premiums.
I get it, no, I understand.
Then they don't mind throwing in $5,000.
Just as a side benefit, when we fixed the leak on Manley Street, Walnut Street kept them
Yeah.
people in water.
Kept what?
It kept them in water.
Yeah, because if you had to shut that off.
I only,
nothing else
when we
coming
did the
down there.
repair, I shut down 3 businesses in total. If the tank hadn't been there, all from there on up would have been without water.
But businesses and residences.
Right.
Everybody.
But everybody was
But I
able
mean,
to stay running.
I understand this theory, that we're gonna make the sprinkler risers pay for the riser fee.
Because you're paying for the past painting and the construction, but you're also paying this future painting. You don't want to wait for
No, I
$3
get it,
million
no, I wanna
worth
set
of
money
painting
aside, I'm
again.
just saying, but the residents, I mean, the residential use also uses the tank too.
They
There's
use
also
80% of that.
Well, and it also, it goes back and forth to making the pressures more stable around the whole area. and
Everywhere,
you know,
residential and all.
because now I used to have, you could tell the time of day because
Yes,
the
the
pressure
pumps
at the
kick
house.
on and
Now, barely at all with
Right.
the tank sitting there because it definitely improved
You
the
must have really
situation.
seen that.
You know what I was always surprised at? If you went into one of those industrial buildings and you look at the sprinkler gauge, those things used to drop right down and come back up. They used to like hammer. I don't know who up there was taking those big draws of water, but they would take it in like slugs. They'd take it and the pressure would drop off and it would come back up. Until we put that tank in, that happened all the time.
No, you'd get that even just from your pumps turning on and off. That's gonna send the surge through the system that goes up and down.
Yeah,
So
but
that you'll
but it
see
wasn't
that
our
on the
tanks.
page.
It wasn't the wells turning on and off. It was every 3 or 4 minutes. There'd be a big,
We still have the system is pulsing.
yeah, as bad as it was
Yeah,
years ago.
so I'm having problems with component part because he can't, his backflow preventer, he has a 5 to 15 pound swing there. He can't pass. He has a brand new one. They've rebuilt the brand new one. That's when they finally started checking the pressures. Right here in our plant, I can show you a picture of a 4 to 6 pound swing right here in the plant when it's off.
Yeah,
I would think that'd be normal, 4 to 6 months.
yeah, but we're not there on Manley Street.
I don't think you should see
Huge.
any if you're
As a matter of
staff,
fact,
it should
the
be staff.
fire
If
department
you're
had
staff,
to
you should
adjust
raw
the
people.
alarms
It's not.
because
Wouldn't set 'em off.
they would set them off all the time.
So
But I don't
four-
think it happens.
4 to
like it
6
used to.
pound, I would think would be pretty normal around town, wouldn't it, Wayne?
I wouldn't expect any because you're floating on the tanks at that point. When the stations go down, you're
But
floating.
it can't recover far enough way out in the system if you get a draw.
But there's no real users. We don't have any gigantic
Big
users.
users, yeah.
There are no real water.
Did you say we got bigger swings than that on Main
Yeah,
Street?
Component Park, he's having the biggest swings. So I haven't gone down there yet because I just haven't had time. And the building's, I don't know whether he's ripped it down yet, but half of it's going anyways.
Has it caused a problem for him?
Yeah, he can't pass his backflow preventer.
Huh.
Because they look for a 5 to 15 pound swing to trip. So he's tripping.
Really?
Yeah.
Nobody else is having a problem?
Nobody else has indicated they had a problem, no.
And he's getting how much? 10 to 15
He
pounds?
says a 5 to 15 pound swing.
No, he's
Sorry,
tied,
5 to 15?
Yes.
There's nothing going on.
he's tied right into Howard Street, right?
Yeah, he is.
All the gates open on both ends of that street?
Yep, so, yeah,
Really?
they are.
And
We've
he's
since
built
learned
on-
there were 2 sprinkler risers going in there. What was drawn as an inline wasn't, it was the second, that building had 2
How
sprinkler.
about Turner? Turner's got a sprinkler, right? Yeah.
I think he does, yeah.
Yeah, does he have a problem?
I haven't heard nothing out of him, no.
So why would one have a
I'd
problem
have
and
to
the other
look
one
to see if
doesn't?
he's tested. I'd have to look back through the test data to see if he gets tested.
Unless there's just something going on around in the area that we just don't know.
But it's right around the corner.
Yeah, it should,
Should-
that's why it should
it
be.
isn't very
both.
far
It
away.
should be one or the other.
I would think he'd have the same issue.
And that's not like it's all that far from Spring Street tanks,
No,
so you
no,
should
it's right downhill
Yeah.
from it.
Okay, so we got the, so you get those numbers over to David Gagnon as soon as you can,
Yep,
so we can, get scheduled for the special town meeting. Alright, now, where's the rest of the,
You lose the agenda again?
yeah,
Upper Copeland Street is the next one.
oh, there it is.
so I've been working with Herb from Shannon Chemical. Carrie's got to talk to him a few times too. He's actually pretty good. He's changing our polyphosphate chemical, and he's doing it on our next thing. I only have that. I'm going to be without my notes on that.
And he's hoping that that'll help that problem up there?
Yes.
Did he say what he thought the problem was? Why the one we're using isn't doing it?
Yeah, because of what we have and our pHs, what he's changing us to is supposed to work better. But he wants us to buy so that we can portable test meters so we can see what's out in the system ourselves, rather than go to him all the time. I was just looking at the spec sheet while you were. It's a $600 item. I'll have to wait until next year for that. But so we can test how much orthophosphate is out in the system.
You let those residents know we're trying to do something?
Yes, I have been in contact with them. I
Since
haven't
it was
gotten
in the
any
paper
result.
today.
Yeah, I haven't gotten. I tried to tell you that she was floating around.
Who?
The reporter from the Enterprise.
Yeah, she showed up at the building needs meeting, the last one, the one before. She seems like she'll be all right.
Yeah,
Just give her straight answers.
That's what I tried to do. She's like the other young girl they had. She's a go-getter. She wants to go somewhere, and you're not going to get anywhere if you don't produce something.
So, just out of, for our budgeting purposes, the new phosphate cost similar to what the one?
It's very similar. Yes.
It's not like we're all of a sudden gonna need to bump up.
No, it's not. Not like getting a KOH delivery of $15,000. It's
So we're gonna change across the town?
yes.
What we
And
use?
so that by the time, so our next shipment, which we just ordered, will come. We'll be putting it on in the system so that when he sends us sample bottles, so he can sample it himself, he'll be sampling what's out there new in the system.
Any idea why that spot is the only one we seem to be getting?
My ideas are, still think that you've got one side coming up Copeland, you've got North Down coming up the other. They're basically dead ends meeting each other, but they're looped through the top. They're at the top of a hill. I still think it's washing back
Kind of
and
working
forth.
like a dead end?
Just
Yeah.
getting real old. and-
Right, it's real old, or it's sitting there washing back and
What
forth.
was the complaint, just dirty water?
Yeah, but they don't get it all the time because he was really pissed that when I showed up, it came out clear. He's like, well, it's not gonna. And I told him, I don't believe you're lying in any way, shape, or form. I'm just here to pull a sample.
It all depends on what the main's doing.
Right, and I did sample what he sent because he was really mad I wasn't sampling that. I'm like, well, I didn't pull the sample, but I sent him a sample anyways. And we'll see what comes
That's
back
what
out
you
of
showed
that.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking at these iron samples that you got, manganese and iron.
I was wondering where all my paperwork went.
It was on the desk in there, I was just reading them. What were these taken for?
That's for him.
Oh, for him?
Yes.
Because the manganese is really high in those wells. Did you see those?
Yeah.
This was taken at the house.
No, those are taken at the well, it says raw.
Those are the wells, those are the raw water. Oh, the one, I did take one at the house, but I haven't got, it
You don't
hasn't
have
come
the
back
answer
yet.
back yet. All right.
If those came today, it should be in tomorrow. I was thinking, because I remember looking at it, and I'm like, I didn't see the house, and I know I sampled it, but I sampled the next day, I didn't sample that same day.
How many gallons a day are we pumping now that the leak's fixed?
About 5:30.
Wow.
Big difference, huh?
It's, it could be a nice summer, I just might be able to relax.
You think it had to be all that, you changed, huh?
That was, yes. That was it, it dropped right off.
Wow.
You want to,
We saw it make the jump. It had to
Tom,
be
you
a
want a
leak.
copy?
It's
You
just
want
like
to
you
look at
said,
those?
so hard to
So it was
find.
hidden, nobody saw a pressure drop because you had
Yeah,
the
the
all-street
9
tank.
numbers.
When the system went down for the day, it's feeding back out of the tank.
Yeah, so you never
So-
saw it.
Right. Now the guy testing the sprinklers, if he showed up when it was static, he might have saw a low pressure. He should have, I would think, because it was roaring out of there pretty good.
So how many gallons a minute was that? Did we figure it out?
I didn't figure it out, but roughly that's around 250,000 gallons a minute. You just got to divide it out. But it was 250,000 gallons
So it's
a day.
500,000 less, right? You figure it's 500,000 in a 24-hour period?
We were like 1.1, 1.2.
So 600,000.
Yeah.
175 gallons a minute, sound right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I did
How many-
calculate
how many
it
hours?
once.
About 175.
Yeah, that's possible, yeah.
It's a lot of water.
Yep.
Constantly.
well, if it's going into a swamp, you're not gonna see
Well,
it.
no, I used
Right off the edge of the road.
to walk the
But
dog
there was
down there.
really
sometimes.
no-
You can never see, there's always flowing water.
There was no
Yeah.
real new water there because I did walk Manley Street. It just wasn't there. It stayed in the ground under the clay layer. I don't know where it went.
Well, that's it, it might have been coming up further out into the swamp, you'd never see it.
Because when Matt did, it was wet even when Matt did the sprinkle.
I got 416,000. I mean, 416 gallons a minute, no?
You said 250,000 gallons a day.
250,000 gallons a day. So
Oh,
divided
250
by,
a day.
Yeah. So divided by 24. gets
Divided
down
by
to an hour.
1440.
I thought it was,
250 a day.
I thought it was 500,000 a day.
No, that's
No.
Oh, it is in a
In a 24-hour period?
no, but difference.
You dropped
It
about
dropped from
250.
1.1 to 5 something.
So that's 600,000 gallons.
Okay, yeah.
600,000
I
gallons
thought you said
in a
250.
24-hour
But
period, right?
as far I was looking for 250.
But am I correct?
Right, you are correct.
600,000
Yes,
It's about 400 gallons. 400 a minute
400 gallons a minute.
for that drop.
Well, if that was leaking that bad, you might have been getting that out of there. You might have.
It's hard to believe.
Not Mike, we did. It
But
stopped.
you saw it on the
It's
radio.
there.
It stopped
had
the
to be.
very next day.
It had to be if it shut off.
It jumped that one night and it stayed up and
It never came back down.
So within a day of fixing that, you dropped 600,000 gallons.
Instantly. Yep, the very next day we saw it. Because when we shut that down, we flipped everybody over to the Walnut Street tank. As we were working on it, we saw it that day. The next day when we saw our reporting numbers, it was down.
We saw it jump one time on Harvestwood, and Bridgewater put the water main down through the brook,
yeah.
and it went off the edge of the road and over. And the neighbors all told me there was a spring there. I knew there wasn't a spring. And we were looking for a leak. And I called up Bill Bertarelli, and he came down and looked at it, and he goes, that's no spring. That's right on top of the water main, that bubbling up. He said, and you know what's there? A 45. He says, I remember putting that 45 right there. He says, I bet you it blew off. Sure enough, blew right off. That's what it was. And you know, people saw it, they saw it bubbling up, they said it was a spring. And nobody saw it because it just went down the brook. It made the brook just a little bigger.
How did you find that?
50,000 gallons a
It
day.
finally surfaced. We found it when we were doing rounds that morning.
Just happened to see it running, huh?
Yep.
You didn't lose the road?
Nope. We saw cut the road, but we never removed the pieces, so we actually never broke into the road. We reached under, did our repairs.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, I was just wondering, just driving by there, I go, geez, that looks awful good considering.
Yeah, no, because by the time we got to it, it had already blown it out pretty
We
well.
had two of those leaking like that and put you out of business.
Oh, yeah.
That's excellent.
All right, so the only other thing we got is the valves for the iron removal plant. We already discussed those.
Yep.
Anybody else got any old business? Anything else to add?
No, I think everything there is moving forward one way or the other.
All right, so now our budget talked about, and everybody's budget has it in it, is those .25 markers for goals.
For their pay raises? We didn't set any goals for them.
You didn't set any goals. I have my own personal goal, and it's sitting right
I was
there.
gonna say, I had a goal for it right there.
Yeah.
That
No,
valve,
we finally got it, but it wasn't just me. That was actually took our own crew. It took Kerry going through numbers. It took we were challenged on every front trying to find this thing. And there's nothing you can really do to the system to make it tell you where they are either. There was no way.
You'd have to isolate sections of town.
And we were coming pretty close to doing that, shutting down entire sections trying to find it.
How
I would have thought it'd be South Main Street or something.
how many goals are you supposed to have in a year?
There is no limit of that. So I'm looking at 1% for Kerry and I. So that's 4 goals. I think that one counts for a lot of goals.
now, the goals, is that a one-time thing or is that then carrying on?
No, it keeps carrying on. It's not. That's why I don't like them.
Everybody got them. Gagne's got them. The highway department's got them.
What are your goals, Gary?
I don't know, what do you want to do?
I did actually tell you to keep writing down.
I have a goal on.
We kind of should probably set some goals for next year anyway, so that we
I have a couple goals.
that we can definitely back up.
I got a couple goals I'd like to see. One is get the hydrants painted up and get them remarked so that the firemen know what mains they're tied to.
Well, since
We
we
got
won't be going
a lot
goals
of
for
hydrants
goals,
out
we
there.
should be able to do that.
Unpainted, huh?
And since we won't be running flat out, I'll rephrase my wording there.
The other thing is, I think a goal should be to get back to operating 1/3 of the gates in town every year, and that's cleaning out the gate boxes and repairing the covers and everything.
Actually, that's all ready to go.
Okay.
We've got
Did we fall behind exercising, Wayne?
Yeah.
Did we stop?
Unilateral flushing will do that. Anyway, we'll get through
We stopped.
keeping those going.
We stopped.
But
2008.
we used to do 1/3 of them every year.
We didn't.
And our gates were all in good shape.
Just couldn't get
We
to
didn't
them.
have any
We
broken
didn't have
gates,
it on the
no
manpower.
broken gate boxes, everything was fixed at one point.
Yeah, we should be exercising valves, because that's, when you need those, you need them.
Yep, I've got the software. It's up, ready, and ready to go.
Okay, well,
We just ran out.
we
of
can
weather.
make that a goal if these guys are interested.
So that's the only thing we fell behind in. Flushing we've been doing, we just fell
Right,
behind
right,
exercise.
right.
And next year we'll have the actual program with all the valves to
Yeah,
be
so we'll be doing
operated
that.
and.
Right.
Well, he's already got all the valves in the computer for the machine.
Well, yeah, but you have to do certain as you do that flushing program.
Yeah,
No,
Okay.
we're talking about just exercising valves,
Yeah.
not flushing.
So when he goes out,
We will
you're gonna-
highlight the ones Art's talking about.
so when he goes out and does his flusher program, instead of taking the big machine that exercises them up and down and it takes forever, because you gotta exercise it 2 or 3 times up and down. He should be able to, when he goes out to do his flusher program, one guy should be able to go to that gate, take the cover off, and just screw that thing down tight, and it should shut off, because it's already been pre-exercised.
Well, but that's why we want to focus maybe on those on the
Yes.
first one,
On
so
the
that when
first
they go
one.
out to do the flushing, those, the valves he needs
Okay.
done gets done.
So
That way they don't have to.
Do the hydrant valves you're talking about?
No, these are the line valves. They're gonna have to
Oh,
shut
so
off
that's
certain
isolate,
streets to
right,
isolate.
right.
So
We hadn't
do-
been doing that before.
No,
No.
so we
Oh, so
exercise
now we're
those,
gonna be using the gate
Yeah.
valves to do our flood, right, we isolate.
exercise those
We
first. then do the others.
we used to do 1/3 of the valves.
Right.
Every main gate got turned every year, every 3 years. So years ago, we used to get on. We used to have to put guys. I don't know if you ever saw it
Oh, I understand.
with pipes,
Big T-bars.
and it was crazy. And you'd walk around in circles trying to get it shut down, and none of them ever shut down. When we started exercising them, a lot of them we snapped off, and we just put new valves in, and we exercised, and then we replaced the gate boxes. And we had all the gate boxes all fixed. We had them all cleaned out, all vacuumed out. And then we just got away from it. And I don't know where we're at right now, but
If you place us when we have a leak and we need to isolate something.
Yep.
No more leaks.
South Main Street was a nightmare. And then when we got a leak, because we couldn't ever shut the leaks off. And then after we got all the gate valves replaced, it was nothing. Right?
Now you can isolate it.
We had isolated. We added gates too where there never was gates. We shut off smaller sections of South Main Street too. You could isolate it. So, I don't know, if you need a goal, I'd say that's one I'd be interested in.
So do you need a motion, Wayne?
Or is that something just we need to work towards getting something set up formally?
When do you need this for your pay raise?
So it would be part of this budget.
Part of this
2020.
budget here?
And you haven't voted on it anyway. So
Part of the
we're still-
2020?
Yeah.
So when do we need to address that?
If you did it next meeting, that would be fine. And if you don't, then you're not gonna hear from me again on it.
No, we'll address it next meeting then.
So,
Yeah, I mean, those are two good things to have in anyway, and we can think
so,
about some others.
so with finding the leak there, we're gonna have one of their goals be for finally finding
From this year, I think,
Yeah.
considering what that was, I think it probably makes sense.
No, I think one of his goals is gonna be dealing with DEP now on that leak.
I can't wait for that
Go
one.
on.
That
We'll
one,
let Kerry in on that goal too.
I'm probably gonna send something out to because I know who does it. I'll ask what the remediations are gonna be, because we're
Are they gonna make us remediate something?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For that much water.
Yep.
Yeah.
But at least you're going in having found it and repaired it, not.
And you could definitely show that the numbers dropped right off. You
Yeah.
know, because that happened to us when we did the other one, and they made us prove it, and we just showed them the pumping records, and it's obvious, you know.
What are you gonna do? We were trying to find it. You can't, you know.
No, you can show, you guys, you put in a bunch of time looking for it. It's not like you just let
We
it
had a leak
go.
detection company come in. I mean,
It was like every day we butted our heads trying to figure out where it could be. I even chased back even South Main thinking we didn't cut off the other end, and it was leaking. That's the station kicker or on.
You got a little mouse in there turning a wheel to open the gate.
All right, we ready to go home and have supper?
Yeah. Okay, we all set?
Next meeting is February 4th.
February 4th.
4th.
And you got to adjourn.
Next meeting is February 4th. That's a Monday. Same time, same station. Can I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
All in favor? Oh, you got a second there, Tom?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.